The maid's voice trembled as she pointed at the meal. "Your mother isn't blind. It's your wife poisoning her slowly." And in that moment, the billionaire's world cracked in silence. He stared at her, disbelief tightening his jaw, but something in her fearful eyes felt real, too real to ignore, as the quiet park around them suddenly felt suffocating. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments what time is it and where are you watching from. Let's start. He stood up abruptly, the bench scraping behind him, mind racing with flashes of his mother's sudden blindness and his wife's calm, perfect explanations. The maid lowered her gaze, whispering that she had seen powders mixed into the food in the kitchen late at night, her hands shaking as if she feared being watched even here. A cold breeze passed through the park, and he felt it deep in his chest, remembering how his mother once said the food tasted strange, but he had dismissed it without a thought. He clenched his fists, anger rising, but doubt followed quickly, because his wife had cared for his mother tirelessly, never once showing impatience or cruelty. The maid stepped back slightly, warning him not to confront anyone yet, saying the truth was deeper, darker, and far more dangerous than it seemed from the outside. His phone buzzed suddenly, a message from his wife asking if he had reached the office, and for a second, everything felt staged, like he was being watched from afar. Without replying, he turned toward the parking lot, heart pounding, realizing that this was no longer about trust. It was about uncovering a truth that could destroy everything. He drove out of the park faster than usual, hands tight on the wheel, every signal and passing car feeling distant as the maid's words echoed louder than the engine. Instead of heading to the office, he turned sharply toward the mansion, deciding to see everything with his own eyes before confronting anyone or making a mistake. As the gates opened, the house looked as perfect as ever, but today the silence inside felt heavier, like it was hiding something that had been waiting to be exposed. He walked straight into the kitchen, scanning every shelf, every jar, remembering the maid's warning about powders mixed quietly into the meals at night. Nothing looked unusual at first, but then he noticed a small unlabeled bottle tucked behind the spice rack, almost hidden as if it didn't belong there at all. His fingers hesitated before picking it up, a strange chemical smell hitting him instantly, unfamiliar and unsettling, making his heartbeat quicken with growing suspicion. Footsteps echoed from the hallway, and he quickly placed the bottle back, turning just in time to see his wife entering, her expression calm, but eyes slightly searching. She smiled gently, asking why he was home early, her voice steady, but there was a brief flicker of tension that he had never noticed before. He forced a normal tone, saying he forgot an important file, while his mind raced, trying to match her calm behavior with the maid's terrifying accusation. As she turned to prepare tea, his gaze followed her every move carefully, and for the first time, trust began to crack under the weight of a truth he couldn't yet prove. He left the mansion quietly, but instead of relief, a heavier doubt settled inside him, pushing him toward the hospital where his mother had been treated for months. The hospital corridors felt cold and distant as he walked in, every step echoing with guilt, remembering how easily he accepted the diagnosis without questioning anything. He reached the doctor's office, demanding to review every report again, his voice firm but controlled, hiding the storm building rapidly inside his chest. The doctor hesitated at first, then handed over the files, explaining the blindness as a rare condition, but something in his tone felt rehearsed and incomplete. Flipping through the reports, he noticed inconsistencies in dates and medication records, small details that didn't match the timeline he clearly remembered. A nurse passing by paused, glancing nervously at the files, then quickly looked away, as if she had seen something she wasn't supposed to acknowledge. He stopped her gently, asking if everything was truly normal, and after a moment of silence, she whispered that some medicines were changed frequently without clear reason. His heartbeat rose sharply as the puzzle pieces began to connect, each answer creating more questions instead of clarity, deepening the mystery around his mother's condition. Stepping out into the hospital parking area, he called the maid, his voice low, asking who else knew about this, sensing that this secret was far bigger than just the kitchen. The maid's reply came slowly, fearfully. "You're not the only one being deceived. There are people involved who don't want this truth to come out." He ended the call and stood still in the hospital parking, the air feeling heavier than before, as if the truth was closing in from every direction at once. Instead of going home, he drove toward his corporate office, needing access to private records, something deeper that could connect the hospital and his house. The glass building stood tall as always, but tonight it felt different, like even his own empire was hiding secrets he had never cared to uncover before. Inside his office, he locked the door and opened confidential expense logs, scanning transactions linked to his wife's personal account and medical payments. At first, everything looked normal, but then a repeated payment caught his attention, a private supplier billing under vague descriptions with no clear details. He traced the supplier address, only to find it connected to a small, unregistered lab on the outskirts of the city, far from any official medical network. A chill ran down his spine as he realized this wasn't random, it was organized, carefully hidden behind layers of normal-looking records and trusted names. Just then, his phone rang again, but this time it wasn't his wife. It was an unknown number, and something told him not to ignore it. He answered slowly, and a deep voice warned him to stop digging into things that could ruin not just his family, but everything he had built over the years. The line went dead, leaving him staring at the screen, understanding clearly now that this wasn't just betrayal. It was a dangerous game he had already stepped into. He didn't wait another second, starting the car and heading toward the outskirts, the unknown lab location burning in his mind like a clue he couldn't ignore anymore. The city lights faded behind him as the road grew darker, emptier, each passing mile increasing the tension in his chest, as if he was driving straight into danger. After a long stretch, he spotted the building, small and isolated, with dim lights flickering inside. Nothing about it looked like a place for legal medical work. He stepped out slowly, scanning the surroundings, the silence broken only by distant traffic, while a strange feeling told him he wasn't alone there. The door was slightly open, and as he pushed it, a sharp chemical smell filled the air, stronger than anything he had sensed back in his own kitchen. Inside, shelves were lined with bottles and powders, labeled in codes instead of names, confirming his fear that something illegal was being handled here. On a table, he found documents listing dosage instructions, and one line froze him completely. His mother's name written clearly with scheduled intake details. His hand shook as he flipped pages, realizing the substance wasn't meant to heal, but to
just a
slowly
shadow
damage
in your
eyesight
story.
without
A
immediate
forgotten
detection.
name, a
A
fading
sudden noise
face.
came from behind, footsteps
I
approaching
quietly
fast,
keep
forcing him
watching
to hide in
you
the shadows.
like a
Heart
stranger
pounding as
passing
voices
by,
started speaking
standing
nearby.
outside
One
your
voice
love
mentioned
story,
his wife directly,
while my own
saying,
heart asks
"She's
me
getting
why.
impatient."
I'm
The old woman should have
silence in
completely
the
lost vision by
background,
now,
the one
turning his
you'll never
suspicion into a
choose,
terrifying
loving
reality.
you
His
without
breath froze in the
belonging,
darkness
with
as he heard those
everything
words,
to lose.
every doubt collapsing instantly,
I don't speak my
replaced
hidden
by a cold
feelings.
truth
I
he
don't
could
reach
no
to
longer
change
deny.
your way,
He stayed hidden
so I bury
behind
all my
stacked
heartache
crates, carefully
and love
listening
you
as two
from
men
far
discussed
away.
increasing the dosage, their voices
Quietly
calm as
keep
if they were
watching
talking
you
about routine
like a
work.
stranger
One of them
passing
warned that too
by,
much could kill him,
standing
but the other
outside your
replied
love
coldly
story,
that blindness
while my
was the
own
only
heart
goal,
asks me why.
nothing more,
I'm
nothing
the
less.
silence
A
in
sudden
the
vibration from
background,
his phone
the
nearly
one
exposed
you'll
him,
never
and he quickly
choose,
silenced it,
loving
realizing
you
how
without
close he was to being
belonging,
discovered in this
with
dangerous
everything
place.
to lose.
As the men moved deeper into the lab, he stepped out cautiously, grabbing the documents and snapping quick photos as proof before leaving unnoticed. Outside, the night air hit his face hard, but
Maybe
instead of
someday
relief,
I'll stop
a wave of
hoping,
anger
stop
surged through him,
searching your
stronger
eyes for
than
me.
anything he had ever
But
felt
until
before.
then I'll stay
He
a
got into his
shadow
car,
where your
hands
heart
trembling
will
not with
never
fear
be.
now, but with rage, as he replayed the voice mentioning
I
his wife's
quietly
involvement.
keep watching you
Instead of
like
heading
a
home, he
stranger
drove toward a
passing by,
quiet roadside
standing
restaurant, needing a
outside your
moment
love
to think,
story,
to plan
while
his
my
next
own
move
heart asks me
carefully
why.
without acting
I'm the
blindly.
silence
Sitting
in the
alone, he looked
background,
at the
the
evidence
one
again,
you'll never
realizing
choose,
this was bigger
loving
than
you
betrayal. It
without
was calculated
belonging,
harm, controlled and supported
with
by others.
everything to lose.
As he stared at his reflection in the glass, one question burned deeply inside him. Why would someone destroy his mother so slowly instead of ending it quickly? He left the restaurant without finishing anything, the question still burning inside, pushing him toward the only place where answers might finally reveal themselves. Instead of going home, he drove to his mother's old house, now quiet and locked, a place filled with memories he had ignored for years. Breaking the silence, he unlocked the door and stepped inside, the air thick with dust and forgotten moments, each corner holding pieces of the past. As he walked through the living room, he noticed framed photos, slightly disturbed, as if someone had recently searched through things without care. His eyes narrowed, realizing this house wasn't as untouched as it appeared, and someone had been here recently, looking for something important. In the bedroom, he opened drawers one by one until he found a small locked box hidden beneath old clothes, something he had never seen before. Using a nearby tool, he forced it open, revealing documents and an old recording device, both carefully preserved as if meant to be found one day. He pressed play, and his mother's voice filled the room, weak but clear, saying she had discovered a truth about his marriage that she couldn't ignore. Her voice trembled as she mentioned property, inheritance, and a hidden clause that would transfer everything if she was declared permanently incapacitated. He stood frozen, the truth hitting harder than anything before, realizing this wasn't just cruelty. It was a planned move to take control of his entire empire. The recording ended, but the silence that followed was heavier than any truth. As he stood there, realizing how close he had come to losing everything blindly, he rushed out of the house and drove straight toward the mansion, No more
But
waiting,
how do I
no
stop
more doubt,
believing
just a
when
storm
your
of
name
truth
still
ready
calls
to
my
explode.
pain?
Inside, the
I'm
lights were
still
on,
waiting
and she
for
was
your
sitting
footsteps,
calm as always.
though I know
But
they'll
tonight her
never
composure
come.
felt like a mask
Holding
he could
on to
finally see
broken
through.
echoes
He threw the
of
documents on
love
the table,
already
his voice
gone.
shaking with
I'm
anger
still
as he
waiting
demanded the
for
truth,
your
no
return,
longer willing
though
to
the
play along
stars
with
say
the
it's
illusion.
untrue.
For a moment, she
Somewhere
stayed
deep
silent,
inside
then
this
slowly
broken
stood up,
heart,
her
I
calm
still
expression fading into something colder,
belong to you.
something far more dangerous than before. She admitted everything without fear, explaining how the plan was never about hate, but control, power, and securing a future she believed she deserved. He stepped back,
Maybe
stunned,
hope
not
is
just by the
just a
confession,
prison.
but by the lack
Maybe
of
love
regret in
can
her
blind the
voice,
soul.
as if his mother's
But even
suffering
knowing
meant
you
nothing at
won't
all.
find me,
Just then,
still
the sound
wait
of police
here
sirens filled the air outside, and his expression shifted,
I'm
revealing
still
that he
waiting
had
for
already
your
sent all the
footsteps,
evidence
though
of
I
her.
know they'll never
Officers
come.
entered the mansion, taking
Holding on
control of the
to broken
situation as
echoes
she stood
of
still,
love
her
already
confidence
gone.
finally cracking
I'm
under
still
the weight
waiting
of
for
exposure.
your return,
As she
though the
was
stars
taken away,
say it's
he stood
untrue.
alone in the silent
Somewhere
house,
deep
realizing
inside
too
this
late
broken
trust
heart, I
without truth
still
can destroy even the strongest families, leaving only regret behind. The story ends here, but the mystery lives on. Like, subscribe, and return for the next unforgettable journey.